Tom, we do a thing on this show called Questions from the Legion.
Hit me with a question.
Our question today is, what is your most heretical food opinion? My heretical food opinion is a little bit bigger than that, I guess. It's probably a little bit, it has nothing to do with the eating of food, but the arguments that happen around food. And that is, nobody cares where your food is from. Like,
I know exactly the food you're talking about.
Or saying that like one type of food can't be like this type of cheese can't be called this thing because it wasn't made in this region. When like, you know, your Parmesan isn't from a very specific part of Italy. I don't care.
Kasabian, no hate, but you're super wrong. 1, not heretical. That's the popular position. Just sparkling X is a popular meme. 2, you should care about the silly, unrelated things that grant food authenticity. Most of the time, quality is a passenger of authenticity. Join me on this culinary adventure. A Ver brasserie is absolutely fantastic. If I'm going to help you drool over the specifics, I'm going to ask them to sponsor me. For now, let me tell you how French this place is. The cuisine is all French, of course. The menu is brief. The wine list is not. My waitress confidently gave a convincing wine pairing recommendation. Then, of course, the decor. The tablecloths, the furniture, the random clock, even down to the style of chair. Hang on, let's Google French bistro style and see what Pinterest, and thus the current state of generative AI, thinks that looks like. It all makes me want to procrastinate on art and take up smoking. Don't smoke, kids. Anyway, if my goal is excellent food, preferably of the French variety, who cares about any of the rest of that? Surely they could work the same magic without all the pomp and circumstance, right? I submit, they would never. In my youth, I used to say, who cares about how authentic your food is? What matters is how good it is.
I like that animal.
In a vacuum, I stand by that. But let me give you some context and some of the limited wisdom my mother gave me. My mother is an excellent cook. Before I sound too positive, you know that scene from Schitt's Creek about folding it in? I have had that conversation with her, but the only difference is that she does know what it means to fold something in.
Here's what you do. You just fold it in.
Okay, I don't know how to fold broken cheese like that.
And I don't know how to be any clearer. You take that thing that's in your hand, and you...
If you say fold in one more time...
For the record, mix, but gently so you don't break air bubbles. My mom was born in the 50s, meaning my grandma was a horrific cook. I'm told my mom's uncle would spend a day fishing and come home with some horrible, partially sun-rotted fish for dinner. My mom's mom would then think to herself, I am a post-World War II home cook. I have the dedication, the bravery, and the skill to make this so much worse. So she baked these slime-coated river trout in cheap, watery pasta sauce. Apparently the idea was that the ragu would cut the grease of the fish, but all it did was draw the grease into the sauce. As my mom was of the age to learn to cook, Julia Child was popularizing a revolutionary message for the home cooks of America. What if... No, put the Jell-O mold down.
Because it has the right amount of crunch for how goopy it is.
What if we learned French cuisine and made good food? My mom started with a cookbook that also put forward a more rigorous approach to educating about cooking. Fanny Farmer. She adheres more closely to the traditional recipes, but plays a bit fast and loose with the others. The chicken pot pie my mother makes is my singular favorite meal. But the secret recipe to her chicken pot pie? Frozen vegetables, a pre-roasted chicken, and a gravy from scratch. The gravy is made from a roux that requires attention, but the rest is basically heat and eat. My mom's cooking style is a perfect example of starting from quality, authentic cuisine and sacrificing a bit of authenticity because, come on, devoting how much space for an entire week to a single night's sour braten? Ain't nobody got time for that. We're looking for delicious, not authentic. The paramount of it's delicious, not authentic is pizza. Connecticut has a lot of pizza shops. People love to get heated about pizza.
Stay on your side! It's not proper pizza etiquette!
What do you know about etiquette?
Should the crust be thin? So thin, New York style, that it must be folded? What about Chicago style, with a crust so thick it can absorb all that grease and become the primary baked good, relegating sauce and cheese to incidental toppings? Should a pizza have nothing but cheese, maybe pepperoni?
But sometimes, in the heat of the moment, it's forgivable.
Should it be so laden with toppings you need to eat it over a plate to do a second pass with a knife and fork? Yes. And do I dare to even whisper the name of the forbidden topping without turning my comment section off?
That pizza looks good. Double not approved.
In Connecticut, drive in any direction for 30 minutes, you'll find some phenomenal pizza, I'm sure. So there's no need to order from Domino's. The knowledge that taste is subjective is everywhere. It's far more common than knowledge of how to cook. Connecticut also has a lot of Italian descent. I may be 0% Italian myself, but I'll join in with the angry Italian noises to talk about how bad most of these places are. These expensive restaurants go through the trouble to hang vines everywhere, stock every shape of pasta, but then convince themselves that every single dish needs a can of peas dumped on it. I can tell you exactly how we got so close to greatness, but quaffed it up right at the home stretch, because all of these Italian restaurants are no more than Olive Garden wannabes. There's a paradigm that Italian food is great, rightly so. So if you plan to start a business, rather than some guy named Tony's Spaghetti, it's advantageous to lean into an Italian aesthetic. So why not melt some cheese over your rice, find somewhere to get rid of another can of peas, and call it risotto? Why have fried chicken when you could have chicken Milanese? And why not get rid of another can of peas? It's backward. You make your food, then dress it up as Italian. The result is that you present an inferior simulacrum of what you've told someone to expect. As always, when marketing dictates decisions, the effects are inevitably disastrous. Marketing wants to use whatever words it can to deceive someone into buying. Ask mass-manufactured bread companies what artisan means. Ask any telecom what not abusing a monopoly means. Ask Taco Bell what beef means. Ask Razer what N95 means. But hey, language evolves, as people who prefer to remain wrong love to say. If you want to make a dramatically worse version of something that hopefully sounds more expensive, how dare anyone else infringe on your art, right? For a long time, food hashtag content fell into 4 categories. 1. Michelin star chef shows off his shiny new $500 single-function piece of equipment. A video by and for advanced professional chefs. 2.
Glorietta Flunsburg breaks down the hegemony of quote-unquote how to quote-unquote cook with her essential oil-infused cast iron and the consenting presence of a diverse community of crystals.
3. Extremely sponsored content. The Stuff Corporation presents How to Make Stuff-Flavored Apples. Step 1, slice apples. Step 2, coat with stuff. Brought to you by Stuff. 4. Joe Schlubsworth says, "Look, stop stressing, just eat what you like. Today we're boiling milk steak, which we'll serve with jelly beans, raw." But as markets tend to, internet content all converge toward the least common denominator. The kind of idiot who says, "How hard could it really be? Just Google it." He makes some recipes he likes, some turn out great.
I'm not calling this beef bourguignon because I don't want any trouble with the people who gatekeep that term.
Once he's made his favorite Schlubsworth recipes a few times, he fancies himself a chef. Let's say you're Adam Ragusa. You're another Adam on the internet making great content.
I'll cook pretty much anything that I want to on the internet from any culture, but I will do my homework.
But if you want to retain viewers long term, you'll want to converge on the lowest common denominator for the same reasons everyone else does. You'll want to lean away from category 1, hard.
But I will never cook in a stand mixer on the internet again, because I don't want people to get the impression that they need something so expensive to make good food.
Ideally, you want to lean into category 2 at least a bit.
They are gatekeepers, and I am here to defeat the gatekeepers.
Shortly, that's what you do. You've abandoned the Lotus, and you're reinforcing the "how hard could it really be" lifestyle. You know who fucks up a recipe so bad he's created a niche about making fun of him? Jamie Oliver. Here he is making a reggae song about his lamb curry for some reason.
Get yourself a pan and get it hot. Get your lovely lamb and slice it up.
But Jamie has more famous examples. Maybe he just fries an egg in some rice. Why do we love Uncle Roger? Maybe it's because he's a defender of his culture and its cuisine. Maybe it's for his stunning fashion sense. I submit it's because he's the first voice we've had for a long time saying, no, there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. This is wrong, this is right. Side note, I don't count Gordon Ramsay as a voice like that. His cultural allure is that he's very angry. What he's angry about is incidental. Uncle Roger is revolutionary. I mentioned 4 categories of food content in years past. The internet's effect of fetishizing the amateur pretty thoroughly killed category 1 and exacerbated the others. Uncle Roger represents the side of culture that values quality and authenticity putting its foot down, or if you prefer, its leg. But he isn't concerned with the chef's pedigree, it's about the quality of the food. This leads him to clash with people like Ragusia.
Indeed, the cook whom Uncle Roger was mocking there is herself of Indian heritage, Harsha Patel.
I would love to laser focus on that because I insist that's his point, but let's add more context here. Nigelng went viral in July of 2020 with a video where he plays the character of Uncle Roger, making fun of a BBC food video where they make egg fried rice badly. I'm sure you've seen it. As usual, when a community grows too large, you have some people who go off the deep end and do bad things. Harsha Patel got a lot of undeserved heat, so our uncle works to rein them in.
To be honest, this is not Auntie Hersha's fault. Auntie Hersha only presenting recipe by BBC Food.
Because again, the problem isn't the pedigree of the chef, it's the quality of the food, which can be traced through the provenance of the recipe. Puerto Vallarta purports to be authentic Mexican cuisine. I couldn't comment on whether it's actually authentic, but I can tell you it's delicious. So how did Puerto Vallarta wind up with better Mexican food than, for example, Chipotle? More skilled workers? Sadly, I don't imagine they pay them any more or treat them any better, so if that's the case, it's a happy accident. The menu, however, is clearly different. At Chipotle, you build your own dang burrito. Pick from meat, pick from veggie, pick from beans, etc., etc. Holy crap, a mediocre fast food burrito is not worth $12. Meanwhile, at Puerto Vallarta, they have a more typical sit-down restaurant style of menu. There's a selection of burrito dishes centered around the most important ingredient. The rest of the ingredients are built around it to match, the result of trying to achieve a recipe. The ingredients are superior because the recipe demands it. The recipe exists because authenticity demands it. So again, most of the time, quality is a passenger of authenticity.